Uh, nice to meet you. My name is Amit Mor, and I will speak to you in the next hour of the presentation and discussion. And a few words about myself. I'm running an energy environmental consultancy based in Israel, Eco Energy Financial Strategic Consulting. We are dealing on with the economic and financial regulation, geopolitics aspects of the energy sector in international projects, renewable energy projects, natural gas projects, and other power projects internationally and in the Middle East and in Israel for many, many years. I'm also teaching several courses in energy economics and geopolitics, strategy, policy, the Reichman University for many years. And I'm very glad that you are about to come to Israel next week to participate in the seminar in Eilat Elot, and I'm sure you are going to enjoy it. Dorit Bennett and Nama asked me to speak with you a bit about the economics and the geopolitics and the strategy of hydrogen. Hydrogen, they call it the ultimate source of energy. As you know, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the world, but we need a lot of energy to produce it because we cannot find it as a hydrogen itself, either in fuels, in all hydrocarbons, or as part of the hydrocarbons, or in water. Yes, H2O, the molecules of water. So either as a hydrocarbons molecules or and then of course in other substances as well. And what we see here in the picture is a first prototype for liquefied hydrogen tanker, marine tanker, and also storage tanks of hydrogen. And Dr. Vladimir Putin, because not many know that Mr. Putin, President Putin, holds a PhD in energy and mineral economics and geopolitics, 1997 from the Leningrad Technical University. And this man has a major influence on the issue that we are going to discuss today, especially in the past year since the invasion of Russia to Ukraine and the terrible war that is taking on there. In fact, pushing ahead issues like renewable energy penetration and the shift to clean transportation, and even these new discussions regarding nuclear energy renaissance and much more, in addition to a major promotion to hydrogen economy, and because we are looking for alternatives to Russian energy, especially Russian gas, coal and oil in Europe and elsewhere in the world. So the hero of the year in the energy and the environmental sector, unfortunately, but maybe fortunately, is Vladimir Putin, because he's pushing us in the world, especially Europe, but elsewhere, to reevaluate our dependency on fossil fuels. And hydrogen is a major, we believe, we think, alternative to hydrocarbons that we are using in the past almost 250 years and more, in fact. So two major issues that that hydrogen might provide some solutions that we are dealing with. One question is, and you'll see in Israel, especially in the Arava, you see many demonstration of especially solar PV plants, but also other source of energy, renewable energy, and you'll view them and you'll see. So the question is, will renewable energy bring the end to coal and gas in power generation? That is, to hydrocarbons in production of electricity, generation of electricity, and it's coal and gas, and because oil is not used almost at all to produce electricity. Only 1.5% of the electricity in the world is produced from oil, that is heavy fuel oil and diesel. So this is one question. A second question that we are asking ourselves, will the electric car, we are going to discuss electric cars in a few minutes, bring the end to the petroleum era? And we have to understand that petroleum, 70% of the uses of oil, the petroleum, crude oil, is all about transportation. We are discussing gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and also heavy fuel oil and diesel for marine transportation. So basically oil, 70% of that is used for transportation. So the major question with the electric car, and either a car with a battery, well, all cars are with batteries, but the most abundant, those which are penetrated in millions and millions are lithium-ion cars, that are cars with batteries which are charged from the grid, electricity with the grid, or batteries that you already know, we'll discuss it a bit, with fuel cells type of batteries that can be fueled with hydrogen. But the engine is the same engine. This is electric engine. The battery can be either charged one from the grid, electricity, or the electricity can be produced in the car from utilizing a different type of battery, a fuel cell battery, which consumes fuels, can be gasoline or diesel or liquefied petroleum gas, cooking gas, propane or butane, or hydrogen, for example. So that's a second major question that we're asking ourselves, and in fact, we are in the beginning of a process of basically getting answers to those questions. Major penetrations of renewable energies to produce electricity and replace hydrocarbons, coal and gas, and also, I would say, strong penetration, initial one in the world, of electric vehicles, and also in the margins, some EVs which are charged with hydrogen. Also very important to discuss the major, I would say, revolution. And this is a major revolution, because the issue of fuels, we are changing one fuel with the other, or one technology with the other in terms of transportation. But again, a power station just means to produce electricity. The sources are changing, but the most important, I would say, revolution, as I view it, is a major technological change in the way we are going to produce and consume energy in the world. And that is, we are what we call the smart energy or distributed energy. Not in the past, we had several in the country, several or many large power stations, coal-based power stations, or gas-based power stations, or hydroelectricity, large stations, smaller ones, and so on. But these days, we are calling that the democratization of the energy sector. We are speaking on issues like prosumers, as you may have this term. A producer who is also a consumer, like I'm a household, I'm installing a solar panel on my rooftop, I'm producing some or most of the electricity I consume. I also have electric car in California. You can see it elsewhere in the world, starting Australia, many. and elsewhere. So I have a battery to charge my car. So I might have an additional battery at home that store the energy that I produce and then charge my EV, my electric vehicle. So the household is a prosumer, producer, which is a consumer. We also see, so we see these days in many countries, hundreds of thousands or millions of electricity producers, small ones, households, municipalities, public buildings, and so on and so forth. And the municipality is becoming a producer, of course, a consumer, and so on and so forth. So suddenly the electric utilities, the electric power companies have to deal with thousands or hundreds of thousands of million producers of electricity, and of course million consumers as in the past, but everything is becoming digitalized, and we can control many of that from our mobile phones or computers. We can make our energy consumption much more efficient. So this is a major revolution. We call it smart energy, what they call the smart home, the smart city, smart energy, smart grid, and so on and so forth. So all the concept is changing. I view that as the most important revolution. So after having an initial, I would say, some background, opening remarks, let's dig it into hydrogen. So economics, we are speaking on production, the supply side, production side, the consumption side, the consumers, and also the transit, the shipment, from the production to the consumer, from the producers to the consumers, how we ship the energy or products in general, or commodities we are speaking here, and traded types of energy, sources of energy. So, you know already, just very briefly, I mentioned that to those who are not so familiar with the terminology yet. We were speaking on hydrogen. So gray hydrogen, that's what we are using in the world these days. Most of the hydrogen is produced every refinery. There are hundreds of refineries in the world. Most of them, they are using hydrogen. They're producing hydrogen, and elsewhere in a technology which exists for more than 100 years. And basically it's called what is called steam reforming. Basically, usually from fuels, hydrocarbons, but especially from natural gas. Natural gas is methane gas, is a molecule which is the less heavy, basically among the hydrocarbons, one atom of carbon and 4 atoms of hydrogen. That's methane gas. So basically taking the natural gas, methane gas, and with inserting that via a pipeline to a boiler where steam is produced in hundreds of Celsius degrees or Fahrenheit degrees with some type of a catalysator, basically spreading, and we'll see that in a minute, the hydrogen, the methane gas to hydrogen, H2, and carbon dioxide. Basically, we are utilizing the hydrogen, and that's a steam reformer. That's how it looks like. You get CH4, that is a methane gas plus air. We have this device, a boiler, and then in a very hot temperature with steam, with catalysator, what is happening? The methane is break into H2 or CO plus 2H2, and then the emissions will produce hydrogen on the one hand and carbon dioxide on the other hand. And the carbon dioxide, we collect the hydrogen, and the carbon dioxide is emitted to the atmosphere. So this is creating greenhouses, of course, a major greenhouse, carbon dioxide, and what we call it a gray hydrogen. The blue hydrogen that we are seeking, the green hydrogen that we are seeking, this is, we produce with separating water in electrolyzers to oxygen and hydrogen, just transfer electricity. If the electricity is the green one, produced from solar or wind or hydro or geothermal energy source, green electricity, so we call it green hydrogen, because there is no emissions of carbon dioxide or direct emissions of carbon dioxide in the process of producing the electricity. And what we the products are hydrogen and oxygen, and everybody, you are very much familiar with that. Taking two electrodes in water and just transferring electricity via that, producing hydrogen and oxygen. And that looks like the future of green hydrogen. You are using or producing electricity, with green electricity, hydrogen and oxygen without emitting carbon dioxide. What is blue hydrogen? Blue hydrogen, we produce gray hydrogen from methane gas usually, or from other fuels as discussed, in steam reforming process, which is the least cost process in the world. And we'll see some figures, some prices and costs in a few minutes. But with the emissions of carbon dioxide, in order not to emit carbon dioxide, we collect the carbon dioxide from the steam reformers, usually, and we either store them, the carbon dioxide, in various technologies, in depleted oil and gas fields, in underground aquifers, or utilize the carbon dioxide to produce various products. And we'll see just one example. And today there are already technologies. Some of them are still in the development. There are hundreds, I think more than 1,000 technologies already in the startup stage, in the research and development stage, and many technologies are already being deployed in the world to utilize, not only store the carbon dioxide, but utilize it to production of fertilizer, production of various types of minerals and salts, production of cement, and so on and so forth. And even one project in Israel, when you go to the Negev, you'll pass via a small town, near a small town called Yerucham, on your route to the Arava. And these days they are in this glass factory, the Phoenicia glass factory. They are basically installing a technology in which the carbon dioxide, which is emitted in the production of the glass, it's a glass factory, bottle and other glasses, and they capture the carbon dioxide, and they are producing some type of minerals, salt minerals, which are used as raw material, as feedstock for the production of electricity. So we call it circular economy, because basically there is no emissions of carbon dioxide, because they are utilizing the carbon dioxide which are emitted in the process to manufacture in this technology, Aerovation, that's the name of the technology, some type of minerals which are raw materials or feedstock for the production of glass. So just one new technology, brand new, being installed in this factory today in the Negev. Another technology was introduced in COP26, that is about a year and a half ago, less than that, December 2021, in Iceland. There, they are capturing the carbon dioxide from the air. As you know, 20% of the air is oxygen, 80% nitrogen, and about 0.14% is the carbon dioxide. So basically, these technologies, as you can see in the picture, basically in those huge devices, they are filtering carbon dioxide from the air, and then they compress the carbon dioxide into those pipelines and into those, what this looks like igloos, plus water, inject water and carbon dioxide to the earth. And this is, Iceland is a volcanic type of earth, of soil or rock. And what is formed with the carbon dioxide plus water, once it merges with the volcanic rock, a type of rock is produced. So basically, you can see this type of stones and so on and so forth. So this is another technology. And there are many, many new technologies, because we have to remember what is the mean, the major objective, and what are the means and what is the objective. The objective is to reach net zero. It's not to halve carbon emissions, but to zero, to come to net zero by 2050. That is the net, they're going to be net emissions zero. That is the emissions of carbon dioxide which are going to be emitted. Some of them are going to be collected, and that can be achieved by decreasing significantly the emissions of carbon dioxide. That is shifting to renewable energy in power generation, to electric vehicles which are not using electricity. The electricity is used from renewable energy, and not utilizing hydrocarbons for transportation. And so, and in industry, to shift to cleaner fuels, and also to hydrogen. Because hydrogen, as you know, once we burn hydrogen, we use the energy in hydrogen, and the emissions are only vapors of water, including when we utilize it in transportation, and we'll see it in a minute. Now, so the means are many means to achieve net zero. One of them, renewables, utilization of hydrogen, shift to clean transportation. Of course, energy efficiency is the most important one. Saving and efficiency of utilization in an efficient manner with a lot of saving. That's the most important type of means to reduce emissions and to save energy. That's what we call the most economic source of energy is energy saving and utilization of energy in an efficient manner. What we call it the negative watt. And also carbon capture and storage. So we see all those means developing and being deployed very rapidly, because technology is developing much faster these days. So we are speaking on gray hydrogen, blue hydrogen, and especially green hydrogen. Now we start. If you have questions, by the way, or remarks, comments, feel free to interrupt. We have time. Now, hydrogen cars. Let's look, after we discussed very briefly the production side, very briefly, the types of hydrogen. Eventually, it's H2 hydrogen. Yeah, but how we produce it. So who are the consumers? So let's start with the transportation sector. As discussed, the transportation sector is a major emitter of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. But the other pollutants, especially sulfur dioxide and sulfur oxides, technology managed past decades to reduce it to minimum, almost no emissions of sulfur in the fuels. But still, nitrogen oxides, which are very poisoning, are being emitted from what we call regular sedans or transportation, heavy vehicles or whatever. in internal combustion engine, which utilize gasoline or diesel. So it's not only the carbon dioxide which is bothering us in transportation, it's also the local, what we call domestic pollutants, which are poisoning. Carbon dioxide is not poisoning at all. Of course, we breathe and emits carbon dioxide, and it's not poisoning at all. And it's a major source of life. Create a carbon in every plant by utilizing sun rays to separate the carbon dioxide. Every plant is doing for hundreds of millions of years. So, but those vehicles, those fuels are also emitting toxic, hazardous emissions. So we're very happy to get rid of that. So what hydrogen car is doing, it's basically, as mentioned and discussed, it's an electric car which has the same engine as most of the EVs, electric vehicles, which are penetrating from Tesla and other, and the Chinese and many other, or in fact, most of the auto manufacturing, as you know, are manufacturing not one, but several brands of sedan, basically, I would say family types of cars. So it has an electric engine, but the battery in hydrogen cars is different. The battery is a fuel cell type of battery. So we have in the car, and we'll see a picture in a minute, a fueling station, a tank, and the tank is storing hydrogen in very high pressure. Let's see, this is that's the pictures you might have seen near, depends from where you are coming, especially in Germany, we see the most, and in China, the major concentration, more than 1,000 already, hydrogen fueling station, Netherlands, in the United States, especially in California, not so many, but growing numbers. In Israel, finally, we have one, first one, and so on and so forth. So the vehicle itself has a tank, either at the trunk, the baggage of the car, or elsewhere in the car, a tank and with fuel. It looks from a distance like a regular fueling station, but it is not gasoline or diesel. It's not liquid, but it is fueling hydrogen as gas in very high pressure. The pressure is 700 to 750 bar. Bar is what we call atmosphere. In our regular life outside, we live in around 1 atmosphere. It's 950 to 1050 millibars. That's a pressure, the regular pressure in our regular environment. Yeah, about 1 bar, 1 atmosphere. The pressure of hydrogen gets to 700 to 750 bars. It's a huge pressure. So the tank is built from very thick steel. It needs to stand in this very high pressure, and we need to compress the hydrogen to this pressure in order to store sufficient amount of energy to enable to fuel the car with sufficient energy that it can run the electric engine 500 to 1,000 kilometers in sedan cars and family types of cars. So that's how, and basically the battery from the outside might look similar to a regular auto battery or most of the batteries which are using today in our cars, in the internal combustion engine cars, are from various substances, cobalt and other substances. Electric vehicles are from lithium-ion batteries, the same battery that we have in our mobile phones. In electric vehicles, and these days in also large storage farms, like in many containers, can store energy in lithium batteries. Large amounts of electricity can store in those batteries. So this is lithium-ion batteries. In the future, it's going to be most likely other substances. We have many problems with lithium, and so on and so forth. So from the outside, it might look like a regular battery, the black box, but a plus and minus to connect to the engine. Inside, this battery receives, in this case, hydrogen or a fuel cell battery, or other, can be also other type of what we call liquid fuel, or can be also natural gas. And basically, the outcome is electricity. And if it's natural gas or gasoline or diesel, so carbon dioxide. But if we fuel it with hydrogen, so we get electricity and vapor of water. That's basically the products of a fuel cell battery. And here we have basically a friend. This is Brownie, and she is also a guest in our lecture. And she learns about hydrogen as well. I'll open the door for her. That's it. She's making noise. So, fuel cell battery, and then fueling station for vehicles. Now, when we speak about transportation, most likely the major advantage of hydrogen in transportation is not necessarily in sedan cars, that is a family-owned type of cars, and because in the race, let's say in electric vehicles between charged batteries like lithium-ion or other batteries and fuel cell batteries charged by hydrogen, right now in this race, the EVs charged by electricity are basically winning. We don't know in the future how much hydrogen in fueling sedan cars is going to be capture. The Chinese, and especially Toyota, Japanese company, is gambling on hydrogen also for sedan cars, and we see sedan cars by other manufacturers, European manufacturers, so on, but we don't know yet. Right now, the major penetration is of electric vehicles, but in high vehicles, basically high-duty vehicles, I believe that hydrogen has a major comparative advantage, because basically today already we see buses which are EVs, electric buses. You can see it all around the world, from Europe, the US, Asia, and China, especially even small country of Israel, but especially urban buses can run, charge the bus every day, at nighttime, or every several hours, and so on and so forth. We still don't see what we call intra-city buses, because the size of the battery and the weight of the batteries, when you need to drive tens or hundreds of kilometers in a bus, which can take tens of 50 people or so on and so forth. So still the batteries or heavy duty trucks So the batteries are still only a prototype of large trucks or semi-trailers which are running on batteries are being deployed these days. Those who are dealing with that with the production of much more efficient lithium-ion or other type of batteries for electric high-duty vehicles like trucks, 30 tons, 40 tons, 50 tons, or semi-trailers, they are claiming that those batteries are under major development, become much smaller, less heavier, and so on and so forth, and much more powerful. So we'll see. But if we are talking on electric vehicles like intracity buses, or trucks, or trailers, semi-trailers, hydrogen can fuel them, and they can run hundreds of kilometers, maybe more than 1,000 kilometers between fueling, one fueling to the other. So we see already hundreds of thousands of trucks, especially in China, by the way, but elsewhere in Europe and in the United States, which are run on, which are fueled by hydrogen. Also, we also see not only trucks, but also trains in Japan, in China, and also the first, already 2 or 3 ships, marine ships, run on hydrogen. So basically, what do they have? They are, these trains are, for example, are electric trains. They use, again, they have fuel cells. They are charged with, they have tanks of hydrogen, compressed hydrogen, and they're producing the electricity, as we discuss in cars. Same in the ships, and so on and so forth. So, but another way, ship has many ships today. Most of the ships are not, they have engines. They run on fossil fuel or on mazout or heavy fuel oil or diesel. So some of them can switch. You need to do some alterations to the engine, but they can run and burn hydrogen directly also. Not only producing, utilizing hydrogen for production of electricity and then changing the engines of the marine vessels to electric engines, but they can run on hydrogen itself. Yeah? Yes, Jochen, you should mute yourself. Okay, so these are, but not only that, if we are talking on marine, so we can also speak not only on hydrogen or in general transportation, we should mention ammonia. What is ammonia? Ammonia is a molecule, it's NH3. Nitrogen, atom nitrogen plus 3 atoms of hydrogen. Now, ammonia, there are many uses of ammonia. It is mainly used as a fertilizer or source, feedstock for production of fertilizers. And also it's an excellent transportation fuel. We can run engines from marine vessels engine, ships, we can run trucks on ammonia. And the advantage of ammonia is also, it is a very good shipping method or transit method for hydrogen. We are going to discuss in a minute how we shift the hydrogen from one place to the other, a major cost. So we can also produce ammonia utilizing what we call green ammonia, yeah, from utilizing electricity that is produced from renewable energies, wind or solar energy, and then produce green ammonia, and it's much more easier and less costly to ship it than to ship hydrogen. And then we can utilize the ammonia in transportation, or of course in other uses as being used today, especially as fertilizers. And we are not emitting carbon dioxide in the process, because today the production of ammonia is very polluting in the petrochemical industry and also emit carbon dioxide. So ammonia is a method of shipment or transportation of hydrogen, storage of hydrogen, and also utilization of hydrogen. Nitrogen is 20% of the air is nitrogen, so no problem in this respect too. Now we discuss other uses, but also today under development are various types of airplanes which are will consume hydrogen. And again, what is the idea? There are already prototypes, and also Airbus and many other companies are developing various brands of hydrogen fuel airplanes. Already drones, unmanned drones are using hydrogen. And again, the system, and they're developing various technologies. The major technology is to produce, those airplanes are going to be, most of them are going to be electric. Basically, they have electric engines. So basically, you carry the hydrogen either in a compressed form in tanks, as we discussed, or in liquefied state, as we are going to discuss in a minute, liquefied hydrogen, liquefied H2, and produce via fuel cells, battery, electricity, and utilize this electricity in the electric engines of those airplanes. Or utilizing jet engines, as we have today in every jet, in every airplane, which is using jet engines. Not the small airplanes, they have internal combustion engines. The Pipers, the small ones. So we can also, instead of burning what we call kerosene or jet fuel, liquid fuel produced from oil, we can burn the hydrogen itself directly. But this technology is also being tested. So it will take many years, it's not tomorrow, but already we have to prototype, so we have to bear that in mind, those users, because the aviation sector is a major consumer of oil and a major polluter of oil, major polluter, huge polluter of carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxides and so on and so forth. 10% of the more than 10% of the oil is used as jet fuel. Now, vis-a-vis shipment or transportation of how do we transport hydrogen? So one way, the most abundant way is to compress it, as we mentioned, to 750 degrees Celsius, and then we can ship it on roads in road tankers. From a distance, it would look like any oil or gas tanker, but this is a hydrogen tanker. It carries compressed hydrogen. So we can see, and you see many of them. Of course, in pipelines, we can transport hydrogen and ship hydrogen in pipelines, and most of the natural gas pipelines in the world, especially the new ones, can transport also hydrogen, although some of the infrastructure should be modified, especially the pressure reduction units and so on and so forth. But so we can utilize existing transportation, existing infrastructure, maybe to modify, upgrade it, and to transport hydrogen. Now, if we like to transport it to long distances and we cannot ship it via pipelines or construct new pipelines for that, so we can liquefy the hydrogen, and hydrogen is becoming liquid in minus 253 Celsius degrees. And then we can mobilize large amounts of hydrogen via the seas in LH2, liquefied hydrogen tankers. In a similar manner, we transport today, already more than 60 years time, liquefied LNG, what we call liquefied natural gas, liquefied methane. Methane is turning to from gas to liquid status in minus 155, minus 160 degrees. Hydrogen is being liquefied minus 250 degrees. So basically, the issue of transportation is not efficient because we need to liquefy, we need to invest basically to cool and compress the hydrogen, the gas, to minus 253 Celsius degrees. It consumes huge amounts of energy, and then we ship it to other parts of the world via seas. Of course, consumes energy in the shipping itself, and then we store it, and then we need to regasify the hydrogen, again, compress it to 700 bars or so. So all the process of production of hydrogen, which is not efficient because, as we know, renewable energies, the efficiency is very low, especially solar energy or wind, depends on the wind. About 20% efficiency will grow in the future. Only 20% of the energy in the sun rays, in the radiation, is being transformed to electricity, and the sun is lazy, only working 1,600 to 1,800 hours in a year out of 8,760 hours a year, and so on and so forth. So, and then we lose a lot of energy in the electrolyzing process, and then we need to store the energy and to ship it and to regasify it if needed, and so on and so forth. All the process is today is not efficient. We lose a lot of energy in the process. We are all acknowledging that, but and technology is developing. So that's another manner to ship energy. How do we store energy? And this is very, very costly. We can store hydrogen in tanks, and there are various types of tanks, in cylinders like that, or in different ways, or in silos, like in the other pictures, and so on. And if we wish to store large amounts of hydrogen, so we can store hydrogen as we store natural gas, but research and development is still taking place in salt caverns or in underground aquifers. We still, geologists, geophysicists are still researching that, but the whole process of storing the hydrogen is very, very costly, and we need to take that into account. Now, as mentioned, one of the major benefits of hydrogen is that it is a good manner to store energy, because today, how can we store electricity, for example, either in batteries which we say lithium-ion batteries and so on, very costly process, not so efficient. We use about 20% of the electricity on the way, and still don't have good technologies to recycle the lithium-ion batteries, and all the process of the mining of the lithium, the production of the lithium-ion is very, very polluting and very, very costly by itself. But this is the way, one way to store electricity. Another way is pump storage. Yes, if you know what it is, don't have much time to discuss. To pump water uphill and then to let them flow downhill and produce in the hydro turbine electricity, generating electricity in this manner. So another way, just utilizing the water, pulling up the hill and storing that. So another way to store energy or electricity in this respect is to produce hydrogen from electricity and to store the hydrogen. And then we can store the hydrogen not only to 4 or 5 hours, as the batteries today can store electricity in large volumes, 4 hours, 5 hours, depends how we utilize. But here we can store hydrogen for weeks or for months, many months, from summer to winter and so on and so forth, when we need it. But costs are still, technology is not mature enough in terms of reducing the cost. We need a lot of volumes and maybe new technologies of storage of hydrogen. So this is another issue that we should remember. Storage is a major impediment in this respect.
Amit?
Yes.
Let's give them talk a few minutes and then give him some time to answer, ask questions.
Okay, so we'll have another few minutes and then let you 15 minutes. So it's going to be a bit more than 1 hour. What is the hydrogen valley? Hydrogen valley, maybe you heard the term already and you discuss it in the seminar next week and so on and so forth. It's a microcosm usually, or basically a location in which we have production of hydrogen, transmission of hydrogen, storage of hydrogen, and utilization in various uses. Not necessarily production on site. We can also import the hydrogen. The consumer can be transportation. It can be also, we can utilize hydrogen to generate electricity in what we call the gas turbines. Instead of natural gas, we can burn in industry, of course. We can burn, instead of fuels, heavy fuel oil, diesel, we can burn clean hydrogen and so on. So can we have various applications, various users. In the port of Amsterdam, for example, we saw several users like various heavy-duty vehicles are utilizing hydrogen and so on and so forth. And in the future, maybe the ships themselves are going to be filled with hydrogen and so on. So this is what we call the hydrogen valley. And the idea is to start with small applications and increase it in time. And we see many, many valleys like that in the world, in China, in Europe, Germany, Netherlands. Even we are thinking in Israel, and you discuss it next week. A bit about the economics of hydrogen. So this is from last year, some prediction of Morgan Stanley work and other researchers. The idea is, and if we look at the chart on the right side, gray hydrogen today is about $1 to $2 per kilogram. And we measure hydrogen in weight, in kilograms. And 1 kilogram of hydrogen equals about 4 liters of gasoline, or about 1 gallon of gasoline in terms of energy content, energy equivalent. Today, so that's the gray hydrogen. The price of gray hydrogen today, this is about between $1 to $2 per kilogram. Now, the price of basically the merchant, you can purchase hydrogen today in $4. Green hydrogen today you can purchase the cost, and the cost not the price, something between $8 to $10 per kilo. Now, the estimates are that the cost of green hydrogen is going to reduce by the end of this decade to $1 to $2 per kilogram. And there are several companies in the world which are developing technologies, much more efficient electrolyzers and so on, so forth, to enable the decrease, a major decrease in the cost of the green hydrogen. And if we look here, so we are thinking about a major decrease of about 70% of the cost of the production of green hydrogen by the end of the decade, and the major race of many companies in the world which are developing technologies to decrease the cost. And so green hydrogen, we are speaking about production of green electricity, already renewable electricity, solar, photovoltaic, or wind-based electricity is relatively cheap, $1.5 to $4 per kilowatt hour. So maybe there is a bit some room for a major decrease in the cost of production of green electricity, but the major contribution should be and will be most likely a much more efficient processes and what we call large scale or manufacturing also of electrolyzers in the world, which will decrease the cost. So that's about the cost. Also, I'd like to say a few words on carbon tax. What is the carbon tax? It's a tax already being implemented in several European countries, California in some respect, and elsewhere. But very soon, in 3-4 years, all around the world, because Europe and later also the United States are going to implement a taxation of carbon emissions, basically carbon dioxide emissions on gasoline, on diesel, on transportation fuels, on industrial fuels, heavy fuel oil, and fuels for generation of electricity. So what will happen once we are taxing electricity which is produced from gas, for example, and the idea is Europe would like to tax carbon up to gradually by 2035, in the next 10-12 years, to increase the tax to €150 per ton of carbon dioxide emissions. So basically, once taxation is being implemented around the world, so we have much more motivation to utilize more costly fuels like hydrogen in transportation and also in power generation in other uses. So the carbon taxation can take various manners. We cannot speak about that, don't have time. Is a major economic enabler, economic tool which will enable us to utilize, for example, hydrogen and renewable energies and so on and so forth. Another interesting forecast that I found is basically the capacity in the world according to regions of production of hydrogen, metric tons, or in the capacity of electrolyzers in megawatts. You see a major here, just to look at the scale, basically a major industry, trillions of dollars, I would say. I'd like to finish with a few slides, basically some fascinating projects are being developed in the world. One is going to be 80 kilometers from Eilat. You are going to visit Eilat next week. So 80 kilometers south to Eilat in Saudi Arabia. This area, in the map, Neom, they call Saudi, that's the dream of Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. They are building a relative large city, future city, and a very clean green city. And in this city, near that city, they are going to produce, basically to build one of the largest or the larger green hydrogen and green ammonia plant. Will produce about 5 million tons of green hydrogen and 650 tons a year of green ammonia, and basically ship it from NEOM to Europe. Already contracts have been signed between NEOM and a German firm is developing this huge plant with 4,000 megawatts of basically wind energy and solar energy plants to produce green electricity to fuel the plant, and then to ship the hydrogen in LH2 ships, liquefied air to liquefy it and to ship it to Europe. And other plants are planned in United Arab Emirates, very large plant as well, already under construction, and in Egypt and in Morocco, and of course in China and elsewhere in the world. So hydrogen will become a commodity that is a traded good with price, and so on and so forth. Another idea is to construct, for example, the East Med gas pipeline to transport natural gas from the East Mediterranean, Israel, Cyprus especially, to Europe. I don't know if it will materialize. It's very difficult, but the idea, what the planners are doing, they are planning this pipeline to enable in the future also shipment of gas, transportation of gas via this pipeline from the region, from maybe Saudi Arabia, via Israel, East Mediterranean, to Greece and Italy. So you see, the thinking today, the planning today is to enable new pipelines of gas, maybe as a transit fuel for the next 10 years, next tens of years in the future, to enable for transmission of gas, of hydrogen with the gas, mixed with the gas, natural gas, or as a mean to transport hydrogen, pure hydrogen. So you see, our vision is that the transportation sector is on its way to shift to clean energy from hydrocarbons, gasoline and diesel. It's in a process. The idea is to produce green electricity, 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50% and higher of green electricity in the next 10, 20, 30 years, depends where in the world, and to charge batteries or to produce green hydrogen to charge, basically to utilize hydrogen or electricity directly, or hydrogen to produce electricity in vehicles. So we can produce, and eventually we'll run our transportation sector on the sun and the wind and on renewable energy. That's our vision. And to sum up, green and blue hydrogen, we didn't discuss much this blue hydrogen issue, but especially in the Middle East, produce hydrogen from natural gas and elsewhere where we have a lot of gas, and to store the carbon dioxide or utilize it in various ways. A great mean to enhance energy and environmental security. So I thank you very much, and I'll be delighted to have your question. We have several minutes for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much, Amit. You want to take off maybe the PowerPoint so we can see everyone? I don't know.
Yes.
Guys. Yes. Hi. So it would be great if you can turn on your cameras. Hey, hello, guys. Wow. So thank you so much, Amit, for this, for taking the time to speak to us. Maybe they are a bit overwhelmed. I don't know. Maybe. But all of them have already started working on their projects. So this is a good time for questions. We're not going to keep Amit for long. So if any of you have questions, now would be a good time to
I
ask.
have two questions.
Yeah, who has a question?
Me.
Hi,
Justin.
hi, hi, Justin.
Yes. So
Shoot.
I'm Justin from Team 3, and we have the topic to use green hydrogen as a fuel substitute for aviation. And the first question is, if we can produce green hydrogen directly on the airport to reduce the cost of the transportation and the electricity losses.
So if I understand your question, if we can utilize the hydrogen in the airport itself,
yes.
basically to charge the batteries, so then
we are thinking to use like liquid hydrogen into jet engines.
Oh yes, okay. So that's the idea. So the airplane will carry liquefied hydrogen.
Yes.
Liquid hydrogen. Yes. Yeah, excellent. So you already you find already several companies, maybe you already looked and find are developing technology, as I mentioned, either carry compressed hydrogen or liquefied hydrogen and produce electricity, of course, on the jet itself.
Okay, and the second question, if it is a good idea to capture the NOx emissions and to transform it into nitrogen, so then it can be used in agriculture.
Interesting. So basically, well, I'm not familiar, but maybe there are technologies that are already doing that. I don't know. Nitrogen, of course, is very abundant. So today we are utilizing nitrogen in produce ammonia and so on, either from the air or from phosphates or from, we have nitrogen in various substances. I'm not familiar with the direct technology of capturing the NOxes and separating the oxygen from the nitrogen. So I cannot answer you right away, but if it's something of interest, I'm sure you can look for in the Google and maybe some technologies about that.
Or maybe just put it in writing and I will forward it to Amit and some of our mentors, and we can help you out as well. Okay.
I'm not a chemist, so I'm not so familiar with that, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we have some chemists and we can try and forward them your question. Just put it in writing. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool. Anyone else has questions at this moment? Don't be shy. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, I just want to say that you are fortunate to come to Israel next week, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy that. And at your age, to deal with, well, that's the future, guys. You know, young boys and girls like you know, with a lot of enthusiasm, and you are dealing these days with issues, if you choose issues which are connected to hydrogen or renewable energies, that's a few already present, but just starting. So you are enabling yourself to deal with the most exciting topics, and hydrogen, of course, is one important one of them. And so enjoy your visit and the hackathon, and I wish you all the luck, and hopefully be able to see you next week.
Amazing. So guys, thank you for taking the time. Amit, thank you. And good luck. Be in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you. I
Bye.
actually had a question. I had a question.
Oh,
are you familiar?
There's a question. Hi,
Yeah.
Disha.
Hi.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you were familiar with AEM electrolyzers.
Amit?
AEM?
Electrolyzers.
Well, there are several types of electrolyzer. AEM specifically, I'm not familiar with.
Okay. So like, since you have like a lot of experience in this field, could you like actually I had questions related to the AEM electrolyzers, so it's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I think I
Tisha.
also might have a question.
Hi, Vera. Yes, shoot.
My question would be, so we would, for our project, we would need to produce heat using hydrogen, because we have like the production of clean fertilizer for using hydrogen, and we need to heat up the catalyst to have the reaction with hydrogen and nitrogen started. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think would be the best way to produce heat with hydrogen? Because we thought it would be more efficient to use hydrogen combustion instead of turning the hydrogen into electricity first. But I'm not sure if that's the best way. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's going to be much more efficient to use hydrogen directly than because it is green hydrogen is produced from electricity, then to transfer it, produce electricity from hydrogen, and then to use the heat. But of course, you should depends where you are located in the world. So if you are in a desert-like area, you might utilize the sun directly to produce heat, and then if you need excess heat, so you can utilize hydrogen. If you, of course, the idea is to utilize green energy. Yeah, you don't want to burn fossil fuels. So, but maybe solar energy. You know, most of the hot water in many countries, especially Israel, it was invented in Israel. It's solar water heaters. We're utilizing solar water heaters. Most of the hot waters in every rooftop in the country, and so on and so forth. So depends which temperature you need the heat. You can utilize it also directly.
Thank you.
Much welcome.
Okay. Hi, Johan. Okay, guys, we're gonna end here. If you want to write us more questions, feel free to do so. And see you next week, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Johan, stay.
Hi,
How are
good
you?
to see you.
Good to
Wonderful.
see you.
How are you?
I am, I hope I'm okay. God.
Yeah, I saw the news and I saw horrible pictures in our newspaper.
Oh my God.
So,
And I said to myself, how is it that I haven't yet heard from parents that they're not letting their kids come to Israel? So have you heard anything?
one of my participants for the Summer Science Institute, he canceled.
But that was before.
It was on Sunday, so perhaps he had some news. And yesterday I talked to a friend in Rehovot who is a voter of Likud, and he said, it's not my Likud anymore.
It is not. It's shocking.
It's really
shocking.
Yeah. Nevertheless,
Bibi has completely lost it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You're looking good.
You're looking good as well.
Thank
You're looking
you.
better.
So, have any
Okay.
news about the flights?
I know we have standby tickets, and I booked a car 2 hours ago, and we will arrive on Wednesday, go to the north, and come back to Rehovot, stay for one night, and on Sunday we make the tour to the south.
Okay, so you're going to be in touch with me.
Sunday evening I will be in near. I got rooms in Torah.
Oh, you do?
We stay there until Tuesday, and on Tuesday we make it back to Rehovot, and then I meet a lot of people, hopefully, and I hope the situation will be secure.
Hopefully. Look, where we are at, Like in the Arava, you know how boring it is here. There's nothing's going on here.
Yeah, but it's a safe place.
It is a very safe place.
Yeah, and it's a good place.
It is. It's very warm. It's gotten very,
Yes.
very warm.
Okay, how much? What's the temperature? More than 20?
No, it's around 30. You can walk around with short clothes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good to know.
I don't know what it's like going to be next week. I will update everyone, but for the next couple of days, it's very warm.
Okay. Good to know.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I have some issues to take care of, but it was good to discuss, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I didn't see Pia in the videos, so perhaps she
Who?
was Pia.
No, maybe at the beginning it was a little long, but it was very interesting.
Yeah, I thought about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's 4 o'clock here, so that's perhaps what
We
she.
had about 27 participants, so it was nice.
Yeah, I saw it. Very good.
Cool.
And they look good, so
They
it
do.
will be an interesting group.
Yes.
Okay, so thanks for all your work, what you're doing. It's
Yes,
great.
by the way, Pia emailed me, and I didn't reply because I don't know what to answer her about the change of money if they arrive at night. I don't know what to tell her. I think it was either Vera or Pia.
Okay.
Because they're landing at a little late in the evening.
I don't
know about the money exchange. I don't know what to tell her.
Okay.
I have no idea.
There's a possibility of change money wherever.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem. She can pay in euros or in dollars, and then they'll give her back change in shekels.
Okay. I will bring some money for them because I made a deal. I will change money for them and bring it on Sunday or Monday. So
okay, and you will also bring me the money for the plane ticket, yeah?
And I bring the money for the plane ticket to you.
Amazing.
Very good.
Okay.
See you.
So I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
I will. Thank you.